And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're looking at the most recent signing for the Washington Commanders as they go out and sign wide receiver Michael Gallup. We're also going to be looking at what Deebo Samuel had to say that has us all excited for this upcoming season. And so, before we go ahead and jump into the content for today, wanted to make sure that you go ahead and you hit that subscribe button like Jaden Daniels, hitting our wide receivers in stride for hopefully a lot of touchdowns this year. In exchange for that subscribe and that like, we are going to continue to give you nothing but Washington Commanders content here daily. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the hot topic of the day. And that is talking about Michael Gallup signing with the Washington Commanders. And so look, he went and he met with the Washington Commanders last Tuesday. He also visited some other teams. He had been out of the NFL for a year. He retired when he was with the Las Vegas Raiders there, not this last season, but the season before. And so looks like that the Washington Commanders have gone out and they have signed him to a one-year deal. It looks like that we're seeing right around 1.3 million is what that contract is looking like for a year. And so with Michael Gallup, he came in the league in 2018. Started off there where he had 507 yards in his first season on 33 receptions. And then his next season is where he really took off because he had 66 receptions there, 1,000 yards or over 1,000 yards. So 1,107 yards. And then he had a 16.8 average. And so his average went up. And he also had 6 touchdowns. But after that, in 2020, he had 843 yards. And then 2021, 445 yards, 424 yards, and then 418 yards in 2023. And I think that the big thing that, Michael Gallup went through with the Dallas Cowboys is that he actually had tore his ACL. And so he had an ACL injury, and that actually put him out there. And he was able to come back the next season, missed a couple games, but he did get back out there. And so, look, Michael Gallup, the one thing that immediately kind of jumps off the tape when he was with the Dallas Cowboys is that he was a deep threat specialist. I think that he was very good, really using his speed and kind of going with these go routes and things like that. I felt like that was one of the things that he did well. And he also did a great job, I think, as far as just being deceptive in his speed. And so he would come out of his routes. It was kind of casual, and then all of a sudden he kind of turns it on. And so he had the ability to get the separation. He also is a guy that can certainly run a lot of slants or ends and things like that. So he knows how to get open in the middle of the field. And he's also experienced in that. With that experience, I think that he does a great job as far as finding spots in the zone. And so here's the thing. I mean, he's been out of the NFL. And so you wonder, what does he have left in the tank? One of the things that he said was like, hey, you know what? I wanted to get back out there. He feels like he's got a lot of fire in him. And he wanted to come out and compete. And so that fits really what the Washington Commanders are looking for. They want players that are competitive. They want players that have the high character, and they want players that are going to come with the standard. And so, look, Dan Quinn knows him. And I think that when you're bringing in Michael Gallup, this is definitely, showing you that the Washington Commanders are going after what they would call like commanders, though, going off those standards. And so, he's definitely, I think, going to add as far as, being a competitor, being, just a high character player and things like that. I just wonder, as far as his role on the field, that's where it's going to be interesting because, assuming that he's going to make the team, because it could be the same situation as Martavius Bryant last season. He had a pretty good preseason, but didn't end up making the team. But Michael Gallup, let's say that he goes through the preseason, they keep him on in the roster, and then you wonder how much of an impact he's going to be. And I would say that from a ceiling standpoint, if he's able to get the 500 yards, and we just went over his statistics because, look, even in down seasons, 445 yards, 424 yards, 418 yards. Let's just say that he had a down season this year. That still would have been good enough to be right behind Noah Brown, who didn't even get a chance to finish the season. And so I think that Noah Brown's numbers are certainly going to go up. But he had 453 yards, and he was the third best wide receiver on Washington, or third best receiver. And so that was behind Zacchaeus Zach Ertz with 654, and then you had Terry McLaurin over 1,000. And so I would say that if you can get him to, anywhere from that 4 to 600, I feel like then he would maybe be a great value for you. We'll see what happens with this. I think that he's initially going to be a specialist, counting that he's still got that type of speed. But I think that he could really carve out a role for himself because there is no more Zacchaeus. Noah Brown says he feels great. And I have to think that between Terry McLaurin and then you have Deebo Samuel, really, I think that Zach Ertz is going to eat a lot this year. I really think he's going to have an even better year. And that would suggest that there is going to be some opening for somebody. And so if he has the juice left, I think that even if he's not a deep threat, his ability and his experience and just understanding defenses and things like that. And remember, he's been in this division before with the Dallas Cowboys. I think that there's a way in which he can just be a sure-handed receiver that is perfect over the middle for those 8 to 10-yard routes. And if he has the speed, terrific. You can extend that even more. And so it's a win-win situation if he can get to his ceiling. And so we'll see what happens with Michael Gallup. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and talk about Deebo Samuel and just why we are excited here for Deebo Samuel. And this is the first time we got a chance to hear him talk. It looks like that it was like Zoom interviews where you had some reporters asking him some questions and things like that. And look, Deebo said that he is ready to go. And so you love to hear that from Deebo. And I think one of the things that, was talked about or has been talked about is just the fact that the Washington Commanders went out and they gave him the guaranteed money. And he was talking about, look, they put a lot of trust into me, and I can't come in here and let them down. And so I had said that, just about a video ago. I was like, man, I think that because of this extension, I think that you start off really good, with Deebo Samuel, because you're showing him that you do believe in him. And I think that Deebo Samuel is certainly going to put his best foot forward. And so that's what it sounds like that he's ready to do. He talked about the fact that with Brandon Ayuk, he had looked at a lot of what Jaden Daniels has been doing. And so that suggests that he's ready to get to work there. And he was just talking about, look, I'm ready to go. I still got plenty left in the tank. And man, he said that you're getting a real dog out here. And look, the legs are still moving. The body is still working pretty well. So it sounds like Deebo Samuel is just ready to get to work and start to help this team win some football games. And that is super exciting because, look, I think that Deebo Samuel is going to have a huge impact. And I think that this is probably going to be, I think, one of his best years as a wide receiver. I'm not saying that the days are behind him with playing a little bit of running back. I think that there's some opportunity where honestly, I could see him breaking out a bit this year doing that as well, especially if we run into the same situation that we had last season where we lost some of our running backs due to some injuries. Like I could definitely see him being subbed in for some packages, and just depending on the year that Deebo Samuel has, I mean, he could be just a huge impact in just multiple ways on the offense. And then you have got to love the fact that he can be an immediate contributor as far as your special teams is concerned. So that is always going to be huge, because if you kick it to Deebo Samuel and he's able to make some plays either via the punt or the kick return, we're talking about flipping the field. And we've said this many times, when you flip the field like this, you give this Washington Commanders a shorter field, I think that you are just really giving this offense just that much more of a runway on another team to really take over a game, because I do feel like that ball control offense is going to come back. You're just adding another dimension with Deebo Samuel, and that's why it's exciting that I think that, yes, the Washington Commanders still need to add a wide receiver via the draft. I do think that, but when you're adding a person like Michael Gallup, you get a player like Noah Brown. These are players that, look, they are experienced. They know how to win. And you love the fact that, look, they're familiar either with the system in Noah Brown or familiar with the coach in Dan Quinn. And so that is exactly what you want to hear, from your football team, just getting that familiarity and really just locking in as a football team and moving forward. So anyway, let me know in the comments here, what do you think about Deebo Samuel and his comments? Ready to go? Are you excited to see him do that? And then also, too, let me know what you're thinking here with Michael Gallup as well. Do you think that this was a terrific signing for the Washington Commanders? Love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.